Hello there everyone, welcome back to another video about the One Piece card game. Today we're going to be doing another one of these deck profiles, continuing my series of OP03 Pillars of Strength content. If you guys have been enjoying these videos, please do like, subscribe to the channel for more of them. Most of you are probably not subscribed, 70% of you aren't, but I imagine it's more for content like this, so please do hit that button, I'd much appreciate it. Check out my previous deck profiles, you can find them all on my channel, and if you're interested in an in-depth guide to this very deck that you are about to watch a profile for, you can find that on my Patreon as of the time of this video going up. I know, scheduled it in advance, isn't that fantastic? So check that out, linked in the description. It's like $5 a month. I think it's really reasonable for what you're getting. These guys take quite a while to put together, and I think there's very good content. Other people have used them to get top 8 and stuff at events, so I think there's a lot of really good information in there, matchup charts, all that sort of stuff. If you want to kind of sample of what you can expect, you can check out my OP02 guides on my channel, as well as OP01, but it was just Kid for that case. So check those out. But let's go ahead and jump into the deck profile with that shilling out of the way. We're talking about Katakuri today, and this is one of, if not the best decks for yellow, and absolutely a top tier meta contender in OP03. So what does the Katakuri leader effect do? It's very strong. So Don 1 on attack, look at up to one card from either the top of your or your opponent's life, and then either put that back on top or put it at the bottom of the life, and then gain 1k. So this is Don 1 7k swing, which is literally what Smoker was trying to do, but this actually gets to do it all the time. And in addition, you get to stack your life. It's really difficult to convey how insanely good that is until you actually try it out for yourself. But when you're able to, if you see like a potentially game-swinging trigger coming up, and just being able to go, nope, okay, I'm putting that later, and then I know it's coming, right? Like, you know what the triggers are, what's coming, to be able to look at your life and know, oh, wow, I've got that coming. That's going to change how I'm playing, right? Like, I'm going to do something differently because I know that this particular trigger's coming. I don't need to deal with this particular threat. I'm going to be able to deal with the trigger, stuff like that. It really gives you a lot of game knowledge, a lot of control. And if you are a good player, playing Katakuri is going to feel very rewarding. So there's a bunch of these kind of cards that we're going to talk about which really do reward you. We'll start with Shirahoshi. So this is a 5-0 with an on-play to Graceful Charity. Draw 3, discard 2, and the trigger plays the card. So typically speaking, right, you would read this card and you would go, okay, obviously good effect, but I'm not paying 5 Don for that. However, when you factor in, this is Katakuri, you are able to literally look at the top card of your life and just see if it's a Shirahoshi. And if it is, you're able to play with that knowledge in mind. There are ways for you to stack it a little bit. I mean, not really. There's one particular combo where you can guaranteed stack it, but you have a lot of ways to gain life, to filter through your life in this deck. So it is worth saying that you're probably going to trigger Shirahoshi in most games. And as a trigger, it's great. The nice part about Shirahoshi is it has a 1k counter, so if it does end up in your hand as a brick, you can just discard it. Next, we've got 4 copies of Struisen. This is a 2k counter, 1 drop. The effect doesn't matter. You're just using it as a 2k counter. You're never ever playing this card, and it's a Big Mum Pirates card, so it's searchable. We play 4 copies of Charlotte Brule. This is the #1 card you see, and you just stick it at the bottom of your life, because I guarantee you, without fail, this, as your last life, will just win you games. Your opponent is just going to be sitting there going, oh, well, I couldn't have played around that. And it's like, well, you probably could have, because you saw me stack something to the bottom of the life, so you should probably have had an indication that was coming. But anyway, yeah, this is an insane card in the context of Katakuri, because you can choose when you want it to a fairly powerful extent, right? You can kind of, sculpt where it is in the life over the course of a couple of turns. Next, we've got Charlotte Pudding. This is your 1-drop top searcher. It only searches the top 4, but it can find a Sanji, and obviously this is a staple 4 of. 4 copies of Sanji. This card is very powerful. So this is a 2-3, but it's a 2k counter, so that rounds us up to 12 so far. We're playing more 2k counters. But then on attack, if you got Don 2, you may add the top or bottom card of your life to your hand, and then add up to 1 card from the top of your deck to your life. So this is essentially a draw 1, except with, again, in the context of Katakuri, it's a draw 1 that you can kind of choose what you want. So you can literally... it doesn't specify whether you add to the top or the bottom of life, so I think it's stacked to the top. But anyway, the fact that you are able to, like, if you see a card like, oh, I could really use that, and then just go, yep, cool, I'm just going to go ahead and add that with Sanji, is really nice. Yeah, super good card. Do you want to play it? You want to counter with it? It's fantastic. We've got 4 copies of 2k Charlotte Pudding. This is an on-play to, like, look at your life and stack it, but you're never playing this card. This is another 2k counter that you can just throw away that's also searchable. 4 copies of Charlotte Perospero. This is an insanely powerful card. So this is a 3/5. The trigger is one of the best triggers in the game. It is a discard card from hand, play this character trigger. And obviously, a strictly play this character trigger would be better, but it is so unbelievably worth losing a card from your hand to just establish a body that it's not even a contest. Especially when you consider that on KO, this card is looking at the top 3 and adding a Big Mum Pirates. So it's refunding that trigger cost anyway. This feels fine to play as a 3/5 because it's on vanilla tier stats. It's just a really, really powerful card. Absolute staple. 4 copies of Charlotte Cracker, another insanely powerful card. This is a 4/5, Don 1. If you have less life than your opponent, this gains 1k and double attack. So it's a 7k double attack swing for 1 Don if you've got less life than your opponent, which is insane. And then obviously the trigger, the same as Perospero. This is, again, another phenomenally powerful card. Every time you see these guys come up in life, you're absolutely laughing. We got 2 copies of Charlotte Smoothie. This is another trigger to play it. We're playing less copies of Smoothie because the one attack is you have to add a card from your top or bottom of your life to your hand, and this gains 2k. So obviously the fact that this can be a free 7k swing is decent, and if your opponent is like constricting you on life, right, they're only going for board, this is just a way to add cards to your hand and like to be able to potentially unbrick, to be able to have other options, but it's not ideal. We got 2 copies of Charlotte Daifuku. This is a 4/5. Don 1 on attack. You may add 1 card from the top or bottom of your life to your hand and then heal 1. So the same effect as Sanji. Obviously not on a 2k counter. So generally a less good card, but it's a 4/5. It's a bigger body. It's not going to get instantly Marcoed or something. And the potential to, if you just protect this, to do this again and again and again to just gain advantage is very, very powerful. Again, context Katakuri. This is something that you can stack and you can control for. 3 copies of 7 cost Charlotte Linlin. This is a 7/8, and on play, stay or life. You get to tell your opponent, all right, do you want to lose a life or do you want to give me 1? Your opponent is basically always going to tell you to heal 1, so this might as well just read 7/8, heal 1 on play. And if that's what it read, we would all be calling this card broken, but it gives you the versatility. Against a bad opponent, like, honestly, you should basically never be, like, taking the burn. Like, I can't imagine the circumstances where you would actually want to, though you need to be careful with this card because I believe the way it works is if your opponent has 0 life, they can still choose to take the burn. So once your opponent's at 0 life, this is absolutely doing nothing against, unless I guess the opponent just thinks they can't choose that, which, you know, you should probably correct them. But yeah, a very, very powerful card. 2 copies of Charlotte Katakuri. This is one of the best cards in the deck, in my opinion. Insanely good. This is an 8/8 on play. Take an 8 cost from anywhere on the field and put it into the owner's life. So obviously this is fantastic and just dealing with big threats you really don't want to deal with, right? Like stack a 5 cost Marco to the bottom of life. Stack an 8 cost Kid to the bottom of life. Like these sorts of things that also mean that you know your opponent's life for sure is just a brick. But you can also stack something like Shirahoshi, right? So if you play, so you trigger, play out Shirahoshi, on the next turn you play Katakuri and stack Shirahoshi to the top of your life, you're going to be getting the Shirahoshi replay, heavy filter, and you're also healing 1. Very, very nice. Charlotte Linlin, 4 copies. This is absolutely the heart and soul of Big Mum Pirates decks. This card is nuts. It's a 10/12 on play. Your opponent burns 1 and you heal 1. This is insanely powerful. It's such a powerful swing. If you play this 2 turns in a row and your opponent like actually loses both life through burn, it's really difficult to lose those games. It's such an insane power swing. Like that's why the strat is essentially to let yourself go down to 1 against yellow, because otherwise they're just going to like start trashing your life. 3 copies of Ikoku Sovereignty. This is a 2 cost 5k counter for some reason. Yellow has this, so obviously it's very, very good. And 2 copies of Thunderbolt. So the main here, you have to trash top your life to pop a 5 cost or lower. That's not great, but the trigger just does it for free. And that's a really, really powerful trigger effect. And the fact, again, you can kind of stack it with Katakuri. You can be like, oh, interesting, that's coming up. Let me just, let me take advantage of that. It's just so, so good. This is a very, very powerful card. But there we go. That is this Katakuri list. As I've said with all these deck guides, with all these deck lists rather, this is not like a prescriptive one. This is just a really good baseline for you to go off of and go and experiment and try and figure out something that you might like more. There's tech choices in here I'm sure you won't like, or I'm sure you really like, and you want to play more copies of them. So give this list a go. Again, if you're interested in an in-depth guide, really going into this with matchups and stuff like that to get ready for the major tournaments coming up, you should check out that linked in the description below. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. Like the video if you did, subscribe to the channel for more One Piece content, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Cheers.